My name is Phyllis Perez, and I'm 32 years old. I'm the operations director at a tech startup that's growing too fast for its own good. And for a long time, I was the one keeping it from tearing itself apart. People call me dependable, the fixer, the one who shows up early and leaves last, who absorbs pressure so other people don't have to feel it. I used to think that meant I mattered. Now I understand it just meant I was convenient. I live in a small apartment in the city with Daniel, my boyfriend of 3 years. He's calm where I'm wired, steady where I'm constantly bracing for impact. He's also the only person who's ever looked at me and said, without flinching, "You work like you're afraid to stop." My family is complicated. They love the bragging rights, not the check-ins. My parents collect accomplishments like trophies, but only if they look good from the outside. My older brother Evan is the golden child, the one they praise loudly for things I've done quietly behind the scenes. My uncle Victor plays patriarch, keeping mental tabs on favors owed and loyalty expected. Family gatherings are performances. Affection is conditional. Silence is punishment. Work makes sense to me. Goals, metrics, outcomes. I was 3 weeks into the biggest project of my career, surviving on 4 hours of sleep and coffee, preparing a pitch that could land a multi-million-dollar partnership. If I closed it, the promotion was mine. If I didn't, months of work vanished. Slowing down wasn't an option. The night before the presentation, Daniel stood in the kitchen doorway while I hunched over my laptop. "You look like you're about to pass out," he said. "I'm fine," I replied without looking up. It was automatic. The same lie I told my team, my bosses, and myself. He exhaled slowly. "Fine is the word people use right before they fall apart." "One more day," I said, forcing a smile. "After tomorrow, I'll sleep for a week." The next morning, as I buttoned my blazer, he touched my arm. "Promise me you'll eat breakfast." "I'll grab something on the way," I lied. The conference room felt like a pressure cooker. Investors lined the table, silent and expectant. My slides were flawless, my pitch rehearsed down to the breath. As I started, I felt that familiar rush, the tightrope walk between confidence and collapse. Halfway through, the room shifted. My vision narrowed, my chest tightened. I pushed through it, answering questions, forcing energy into my voice. Someone asked for revenue projections, and my mind went blank. I gripped the edge of the table, willing myself to keep going. Then the floor tilted. The words died in my throat. The last thing I heard before everything went black was Daniel's voice in my head, telling me I was pushing too hard. When I opened my eyes, harsh white lights filled my vision. An EMT leaned over me, his voice steady but urgent. "Phyllis, can you hear me? You collapsed during the presentation. We're taking you to St. Luke's." My body felt heavy, my mouth was dry, my chest burned with every breath. Someone handed him my phone. I caught fragments of the conversation, calling emergency contacts, leaving voicemails, sending texts. No answer. They tried again. Still nothing. Daniel was the first person I saw at the hospital. He'd left work the moment he got the call and hadn't left my side since. My parents didn't call. Evan didn't show. Victor didn't even send a text. "You're lucky," the doctor said later, standing at the foot of my bed. "Severe exhaustion and dehydration. Your body's been under too much stress for too long. Keep this up and next time it won't just be a fainting spell." I nodded, but my eyes kept drifting to the silent phone on the nightstand. Still nothing. Daniel brushed my hair back and kissed my forehead. "I told you this job would kill you if you let it." "Yeah," I whispered. "You did." If I collapsed tomorrow, the people who were supposed to care the most probably wouldn't even notice. I was discharged the next afternoon with strict orders to rest. Daniel took a few days off to keep an eye on me, hovering more than he wanted to admit. I told him he didn't need to worry, but I still felt drained, dizzy, off balance. A reminder that my body had finally drawn a line. The strangest part wasn't the weakness. It was the silence. No missed calls, no awkward check-ins, nothing. That night, curiosity got the better of me. I opened my phone expecting something. What I found was worse. A tagged photo from one of the most expensive restaurants in the city. There they were, my parents, Evan, Victor, glasses raised, smiling in warm golden light. The caption read, "Celebrating Evan's biggest real estate deal yet. Perez family legacy stronger than ever." The timestamp hit me like a punch. 2 hours after I'd been admitted to the hospital. Daniel read over my shoulder. His jaw tightened. "They knew," he said quietly. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. A moment later, a message popped up from an unfamiliar number. It was my cousin Lucas. We hadn't spoken in years. "Is this real?" he asked. I snapped a photo of my hospital wristband and sent it to him. "I'm sorry," he replied. "You don't deserve that." Then the screenshots started coming. Messages from the Perez family group chat, the one I'd muted months ago, mocking my collapse, calling me dramatic, saying I always bounce back, telling each other not to ruin dinner over another one of my episodes. My hands started shaking. Daniel read the messages. His face went pale. "This isn't neglect," he said. "This is cruelty." I wanted to defend them. I wanted to believe they hadn't understood how serious it was. But the truth was staring back at me in black and white. This wasn't a misunderstanding. It wasn't forgetfulness. It was a choice. And in that moment, something inside me broke. Not loudly, not explosively, just cleanly. Because once you see the truth, you can't go back to pretending. I didn't sleep that night, not because of pain, though my chest still felt tight when I breathed too deeply, but because every time I closed my eyes, those messages replayed in my head. The words weren't dramatic. That was the worst part. They were casual, dismissive, typed between appetizer orders and wine refills. "She's always like this. Don't let her ruin dinner. She just wants attention." By morning, my phone buzzed again. It was Lucas. "I thought you should know," he wrote. "They're pretending you're fine, like none of it mattered." I stared at the screen until my vision blurred. Lucas had always been the quiet one at family gatherings, the one they labeled difficult, unmotivated, a disappointment. I'd never questioned it. I was too busy trying not to become the next target. "I stopped talking to them years ago," he added. "Same pattern. They mock you when you struggle, ignore you when you succeed. It's easier to disappear." Daniel sat beside me on the couch, watching my face as I read. "They didn't think it was serious," I said weakly, even though I didn't believe it. "You were unconscious," he replied. "They didn't even try." Another message came through. "One more thing," Lucas wrote. "I told Grandma what happened. She's furious. She tried to go to the hospital, but you'd already been discharged." Something twisted in my chest, not pain this time. Grief. He told me later that the family group chat had lit up right after my father listened to the hospital voicemail. They knew before the appetizers arrived. That afternoon, Lucas showed up at my apartment with 2 coffees. He hesitated at the door like he wasn't sure I'd let him in. "I didn't know if you'd want to talk," he said, but I couldn't stay quiet. We sat at the kitchen table. Daniel listened quietly as Lucas talked about the years he spent trying to earn approval that never came. Every achievement minimized, every failure magnified. "I realized the only way to win was to stop playing," he said. "But watching them mock you after you collapsed, that was different. That was evil." I didn't argue. This wasn't forgetfulness. It wasn't ignorance. It was a decision. Daniel reached for my hand. "You don't have to keep them in your life." Lucas nodded. "I cut contact 5 years ago. Best decision I ever made." I didn't respond. I wasn't ready to make declarations. But something had shifted. The illusion that maybe, deep down, they cared was gone. After Lucas left, I opened the Perez family group chat. Years of polite updates and forced congratulations stared back at me. With one swipe, I deleted it. It felt small, almost insignificant, but it was the first time I'd chosen myself over appearances. A week passed. The silence didn't break. Then, on Thursday morning, my phone exploded. Messages stacked on top of each other. Coworkers, former classmates, people I hadn't spoken to in years. "What's going on?" Daniel asked. I opened the first link and froze. Lucas had posted the screenshots. All of them. The family chat messages. The hospital wristband photo. The timestamp circled in red. The caption was simple and devastating. My cousin Phyllis Perez collapsed at work and ended up in the ER. The family ignored every emergency call and mocked her in a group chat. If this is what family means, I want nothing to do with it. It wasn't viral in a flashy way. No headlines, no influencers. But it spread. By noon, it had reached local business circles. By evening, it was in professional forums and extended family chats. The comments were brutal. This is abuse. Family doesn't get a free pass for cruelty. I cut my parents off for less. My inbox filled with support. Even my CEO texted me directly. Take whatever time you need. Family trauma is real. Daniel scrolled through his phone, shaking his head. People are furious. I didn't know how to feel. I hadn't asked Lucas to post anything. But now that the truth was out, I didn't have to explain myself anymore. The evidence spoke louder than I ever could. The fallout came fast. By Friday, my father was pulled into a meeting at his firm. HR wanted answers. Evan's celebrated real estate deal fell apart. Investors didn't want the attention. Uncle Victor's carefully curated reputation took a hit as invitations quietly stopped coming. Lucas sent screenshots from the family chat. They were angry. They were panicking. But not once did they say, "We should have been there." They're not upset about what they did, Daniel said quietly. They're upset people can see it. He was right. And for the first time, I didn't feel the urge to respond. I didn't want to defend myself. I didn't want to fix it. The truth was doing the work for me. That night, my phone stayed silent. And for the first time since the collapse, the quiet didn't feel empty. It felt like space. The knock on the door came on a gray Sunday afternoon. Not hesitant, not polite, hard, deliberate, angry. Daniel was the one who checked the peephole. He didn't need to say anything. The look on his face told me everything. "It's them," he said quietly. "All of them." I stood up before fear could talk me out of it and opened the door. They didn't wait to be invited in. My father pushed past me first, his face red, jaw tight. My mother followed, lips pressed into a thin line. Evan leaned against the doorframe like he owned the place, arms crossed, a familiar smirk already in place. Uncle Victor paced behind them, eyes sharp, calculating, like a lawyer preparing for trial. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" my father barked. I closed the door slowly behind them. "I didn't post anything." "Don't play innocent," Victor snapped. "We know you put Lucas up to it." "All those lies," my mother added. "You've humiliated this family." "They're not lies," Daniel said calmly, stepping forward. "I read them myself." Victor turned on him immediately. "This is family business. Stay out of it." "I am family," Daniel replied, "and I'm not going anywhere." My mother crossed her arms. "We raised you. We gave you everything. And this is how you repay us? By airing private conversations to the world?" "You didn't even answer the phone," I said. "The hospital called. I was unconscious." My father scoffed. "We were told you were stable. You were fine." "I woke up alone," I said. "No calls, no visits, not even a text. That's not fine. That's abandonment." Evan laughed softly. "You fainted, Phyllis. People faint all the time. But you saw a chance to make us look like monsters, and you took it." "You did that yourselves," Daniel shot back. "Enough," my father roared, slamming his fist on the table. "You're going to call Lucas. He deletes the post. Then you issue a public apology today." "I'm not apologizing," I said. "Yes, you are," my mother insisted, stepping closer. "We don't air dirty laundry in public. We handle things privately." "Privately?" I asked. "You mean silently?" Victor shook his head. "You're lucky you even have a family. Most people would kill for the support you've had." I laughed, short, humorless. "Support? You celebrate Evan for breathing and treat my accomplishments like accidents." Evan's smirk sharpened. "Maybe if you weren't so weak, none of this would have happened." Daniel snapped. "Weak? She's been holding all of you together for years." Watch your tone, Victor barked. Why? Daniel shot back. Because you're older? Because you share DNA? Respect is earned, and you haven't earned it. My father pointed at me. We are your blood. It used to mean something, I said. But blood doesn't matter when you treat people like they're disposable. The apartment went silent. Then the door opened again. Good, a sharp voice said. I hoped I'd catch you all here. Grandma Elena stepped inside, leaning on her cane, Lucas at her side. My father stiffened. Mom, you shouldn't be involved in this. Be quiet, she snapped. I called the hospital. I spoke to the staff. Do you know what I found out? No one answered. Phyllis was alone, she continued. Not one of you showed up. Not one. That's not fair, my mother protested. We were told, don't you dare, Grandma Elena hissed. I read the messages. She's dramatic. Don't ruin dinner. Do you hear yourselves? Evan rolled his eyes. We didn't mean... You meant every word, she snapped. You're not angry because the truth is out. You're angry because people finally see it. Victor muttered, This isn't your business. I raised you better than this, she shot back. You've embarrassed me, not because of a post, but because of who you've become. She turned to me. I'm sorry, Phyllis. You deserved better. No one spoke. Finally, my father shook his head and headed for the door. This isn't over. I know, I said calmly. It's finished. One by one they left, muttering about betrayal, regret, burned bridges. The door slammed, and for the first time, their absence felt like oxygen. Grandma Elena squeezed my hand. They'll twist the story. Don't let them twist you. I won't, I said. And this time, I meant it. The morning after they left, I woke up before my alarm. Not anxious, not bracing. Clear. For years, my day had started with a quiet scan of fear. What do they need? What did I do wrong? Who am I disappointing today? That morning, there was nothing to scan for. I picked up my phone and began cutting ties. I muted threads, deleted old message chains, unfollowed accounts that existed solely to monitor me, blocked numbers I'd memorized without meaning to. It wasn't rage that fueled it. It was clarity. I'd spent my entire life leaving the door unlocked for people who never planned to walk through it. Daniel watched from the kitchen doorway. You sure? He asked gently. I nodded. I've never been more sure of anything. The physical recovery came slowly. My body didn't bounce back the way it used to. I got dizzy if I stood too fast. I tired easily. It was humbling and necessary. Proof that I wasn't invincible and didn't need to be. At Daniel's urging, I joined a women's growth group he'd read about, focused on burnout, identity, and boundaries. I almost didn't go. Sitting in a circle talking about feelings with strangers sounded like my personal nightmare. The first meeting was awkward. The third was honest. By the sixth, it was saving me. We talked about how high-achieving women are praised for self-sacrifice and punished for rest. About families that confuse control with love. About the quiet grief of realizing you were never difficult. You were just inconvenient. I started sleeping again, eating real meals, leaving work before midnight. For the first time, my life wasn't built around proving something. I also did something I'd wanted to do for years, but never believed I was allowed to. I launched a consulting business. Nothing flashy, just me advising startups on operations and scaling. Work I was already doing, but now on my terms. Within 3 months, it was profitable enough that I had a choice, and having a choice changed everything. At my day job, I stopped volunteering for every crisis. I said no. The world didn't collapse. People adjusted. The fear that had governed me for decades started to loosen its grip. Daniel noticed it before I did. You're lighter, he said one night as we cooked dinner. Like you can breathe. I stopped dragging dead weight, I admitted. Our relationship shifted too. We weren't just surviving side by side anymore. We were planning, talking about the future without flinching. A few weeks later, I said yes to a ring I hadn't seen coming, but somehow always knew was right. We posted one photo, our hands intertwined, the ring visible. Caption, Forever starts here. Within 24 hours, the Perez family erupted. My mother posted a long, passive-aggressive message about betrayal. My father wrote something vague about daughters who forget where they come from. Evan shared a photo of a family dinner without me. Some of us know what loyalty means. I ignored it. Then Evan escalated. He uploaded a 5-minute video titled "The Truth About My Sister." He accused me of faking my collapse, said the hospital visit was exaggerated, claimed I was jealous, dramatic, always had been. Most people tore him apart in the comments. A few didn't. Uncle Victor sent Lucas a threatening email full of legal jargon, accusing him of defamation. Lucas laughed it off, but I could hear the anger underneath. "They're scared," he said. "They're throwing everything at the wall." 3 weeks after the engagement announcement, I walked into my office lobby and found them waiting, blocking the elevator. Like vultures. "This ends now," my father said. "Then stop performing," I replied. Victor leaned in. "Retract the post. Public apology. End the engagement." "She held my hand in the ER," I said. "You held a reservation." My mother's voice went brittle. "We are your family." "A family shows up," I said. "A PR team spins." I stepped into the elevator. The doors closed on their silence. That night, "This is the last message you'll ever receive from me. Do not contact us again." Then I blocked everything. The next morning, my phone was silent. And the morning of the wedding was quiet on purpose. No frantic calls, no family politics, no guest list negotiations disguised as concern. Daniel and I had planned it that way. Small, intentional, untouched by the noise that used to control my life. We rented a modest vineyard just outside the city. The ceremony set beneath an old oak tree that had stood there longer than any of our grudges. There were no distant relatives I felt obligated to invite, no empty chairs reserved for people who never showed up anyway, only the people who chose us. When I arrived, the air smelled like warm earth and late summer. Daniel was already standing beneath the tree, hands clasped, trying and failing to hide his nerves. When he saw me, everything else faded. I wore a simple dress. No dramatic entrance, no performance, just honesty. As I walked toward him, I scanned the faces seated nearby. A handful of close friends from work, 2 women from my growth group who had become anchors when I didn't know I needed them. Lucas, standing near the front, watching with quiet pride. And in the first row, Grandma Elena, hands folded, eyes shining. They were the only family here, and they were enough. "This is our fresh start," Daniel whispered as I took his hand. "Yes," I whispered back. "It is." We exchanged vows we'd written ourselves, simple promises rooted in choice, not obligation. When we were pronounced married, the cheers that followed were warm and real, not polite or performative. At the reception, held under string lights and long wooden tables, laughter replaced tension. Glasses clinked, stories were shared. No one was watching for mistakes. No one was keeping score. Lucas stood to give a toast. "I've known Phyllis my whole life," he said, "and I watched her spend years trying to be everything everyone else wanted her to be. No matter how much she gave, it was never enough. But family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, and everyone here showed up." We raised our glasses. Across town, I knew what was happening. Lucas had sent me screenshots earlier. The Perez family still spiraling online. Cryptic posts, quotes about forgiveness, complaints about disloyalty. None of it touched me. Their world, built on control and image, was shrinking. Mine was expanding. Later that evening, Daniel and I stepped away from the crowd and stood at the edge of the vineyard, the sun dipping low over the rows of vines. "Do you ever think about them?" he asked quietly. "Sometimes," I admitted. "Not the way I used to. I don't wonder what they're saying anymore. I just wonder if they even realize what they lost." "And if they don't?" he asked. "Then they don't," I said. "And I still win." As the night wound down, Lucas hugged me tightly. "I'm proud of you," he said. "For what?" "For choosing peace over approval." Grandma Elena hugged me next. "Your life is yours now," she whispered. "Don't ever let them take it back." We drove home that night as husband and wife, city lights sliding past the windows. Lying in bed later, Daniel's hand resting over mine, one of my uncle's old words echoed in my mind. "You've crossed a line." They were right. I had crossed a line, out of their chaos and into my peace, out of their expectations and into my choices, from being someone they could erase into someone they could never control again. Cutting ties hadn't been the end of anything. It was the beginning.